By the rivers of Babylon, yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying. Oh,
Shalom, shalom, family. Welcome to another Bible study or Bible review. My name is Uzi Alewi, one of the teachers of Congregation D.C.B, CHOKMAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn, New York, giving all honor, glory, and praise to the Most High, King of the universe, for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Thanking the Most High God for my life and the life of all of you. Praying that the Most High God will continue to bless each and every one of you with health, wealth, and all the things desirable in your mind and righteousness, and thanking Him for being God and God alone, and besides Him being no other. Grateful to the Most High God for my life and the life of all of you who have come here to listen to us on this Sunday morning. Praying that the Most High God will continue to bless you all and keep you. Also, sending out heartfelt condolences to one of our young men in the midst of our congregation, and his grandmother, who lost a grandmother, lost a niece, I believe, and the young man lost a cousin. So, praying that the Most High God will continue to bless, keep, and protect our brother, our sister Azaria, and the young man in the midst of us, Yehoshua, as they go through their time of mourning and they go through their time of reflection. We pray that the Most High God will bless them with strong minds and with the ability to be strengthened. So we thank the Most High God for all things and everything, and I pray that the Most High God will continue to bless each and every one of us. At this time, I'll turn it over to my brother, Rabbi Chief Binyamin, so he could proceed with the Jeremiah chapter 9 today. How you doing, Rabbi?
I'm doing good, giving praise and honor to the creator of the heavens and the earth, the Most High God, and hopefully you're doing well along with everyone that is watching and listening at this time. As is mentioned, we have our Bible study every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on this channel, so feel free to subscribe and share with your family and your friends. As long as you utilize the Bible for the foundation of your belief, this Bible study is for you. So we are grateful for the opportunity to go through the Word of God on a weekly basis, and just praying that He would bless us with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, so that we would conduct ourselves in a proper manner before Him as we study. So we all attempt to grow together, obtain the Word of God, and again, just praying that He will continue to guide us in the way that we should walk before Him. We've been, over the past few months, with the exception of certain other topics, we've been going through the book of Jeremiah. So today we are going to go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 9. That's the chapter that we are up to at this moment in the book of Jeremiah. So we just pray that the Most High will bless us as we go through this chapter this day. We'll spend some time on it and then leave the remaining time for our Bible study for questions and comments for those that may have any questions, even suggestions for topics for the future. Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread will be coming up soon. Within, in less than a month, that time will be coming up. So we will be having a discussion on Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread within the next few weeks to get us up to date on what that season is about and the preparation involved for that season. And any of the subjects or topics that people may have, they may feel free to suggest it and leave your comments if you're watching live or watching this video, any of the other videos of our Bible study, our weekly Bible study. Just feel free to put it out there. So it's time we're going to go into the book of Jeremiah, chapter 9, which is, for lack of a better term, is a form of a lamentation of Jeremiah. We know that many people realize that Jeremiah wrote the book of Lamentations specifically, but even within the book of Jeremiah, there are quote unquote lamentations that take place, or heartfelt messages from Jeremiah based on his experience, based on what God has told him to tell the people. And this is basically one of those situations here. So it starts off by saying, "Oh, that I were in the wilderness, in a lodging place of wayfaring men, that I might leave my people and go from them, for they are all adulterers, an assembly of treacherous men." So just giving a recap, we only 9 chapters into the book of Jeremiah, but just a recap from the first chapter. Jeremiah is a prophet of God, one of the many prophets that God called into his service. Jeremiah, from what we read in chapter 1, was called into God's service from a young age. It doesn't give the specific age of Jeremiah, but Jeremiah acknowledged that he was young when God was calling him into his service. He was reluctant to do the job, but God commissioned him to do the job anyway. And the responsibility of Jeremiah was to tell the children of Israel dwelling within the territory of Judah, which would be the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Binyamin, the tribe of Levi, and any of the other tribes of Israel that were dwelling within that kingdom, to tell them about the wrongs that they were doing, and also warn them of the danger that was going to be approaching from the north. And what we've seen is that this danger that's coming from the north, which is one of the themes of this book of Jeremiah, is Babylon. So the book of Jeremiah is a precursor to the Babylonian Empire taking over the entire region, which we know as the Middle East, during this period of time. So it wasn't something that happened overnight. God gave the children of Israel dwelling in Judah the opportunity to repent and return to him. But there were punishments that were happening along the way. Famine was setting in the land. The captivity from Babylon was impending, and the sword, which was coming from Babylon, which would be coming in anyway. So there were various punishments that the children of Israel were facing during this time. And there is the reason for these punishments coming in was because of idolatry, because of adultery, because of Sabbath breaking, and there were and because of murder, and because of the way that people were treating each other overall. We'll be getting into that within this chapter, and the previous chapters that we've read already started to detail that there was a major problem, a major breakdown in the society among the children of Israel, and that's why these punishments were coming in. So because all of them are adulterers in the physical sense, and also this is in the physical sense, but you'll read throughout the book of Jeremiah and throughout the prophecies in other books that adultery is also a term that God uses when the children of Israel fall into idolatry. And harlotry also is the same. That harlotry is also a term that God uses when the children of Israel turn into idolatry. So here, but we're going to see how in this chapter is talking about how people were treating one another. So this adultery is how people are treating one another. And it says an assembly of treacherous men, people that were doing wrong to each other by the form of adultery and by the many wrongs that we'll continue to read here. And it says, and they bend their tongue, their bow of falsehood, and they are grown mighty in the land, but not for truth. For they proceed from evil to evil, and me they know not, says Jehovah. We're going to see within this chapter that Jeremiah is the primary speaker in this chapter, but there are verses here where Jeremiah is going to be quoting statements of God. So it starts off with Jeremiah saying that he should, he would desire to be in a wilderness, so he's not around these people. And then in the second verse is a quote of God saying that because they proceed from evil to evil, and me they know not, because their ways are not the ways that Jehovah God commanded the children of Israel to walk in. So therefore, when we don't follow the way of God, it is as though we do not know him, because we're acting as though we don't know him when we do evil. And just as a reminder, as we do every week as much as possible, remind everybody that we do mention the name of God in the appropriate places they appear. So it helps us to understand the God that is speaking to us and the God that we are speaking about as we have in our Bible study. In many of your English translations, you'll see the words the Lord, but in the Hebrew text, which is what a majority of the Old Testament or the Holy Scriptures was written in, the name of God is within those places. So in the Hebrew text, the name is, we pronounce it here as Jehovah. Many people pronounce it as Yahweh, but the Hebrew consonants of God's name are Yod-Heh, Waw-Heh, which corresponds to YHWH in the English language. So we will continue from here, from verse 3. Take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not in any brother, for each brother acts subtly, and every neighbor goes about with slanders. And they deceive every one his neighbor, and truth they speak not. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, they weary themselves to commit iniquity. Thy habitation is in the midst of deceit. Do deceit, they refuse to know me, says Jehovah. So this is the warning. Again, these phrases are coming from God himself, speaking about the iniquities that were taking place among the children of Israel. So God isn't angry at this generation because of what, not only mad at them or upset with them because of what they've done to him in going into idolatry and profaning the Sabbath day, but he's angry with them because of what they do to one another, the lies that they tell on each other, the murder they commit against each other, the adultery that they commit amongst themselves, the deceit, everything that they are doing to one another. God is angry at them and punishing them during this time, and continues to bring punishments upon them because of what they've done to each other. Because as they're dwelling amongst each other, and God is telling them that they shouldn't trust anybody, because everybody is full of lies and full of deceit and looking out for another person's wife, wanting to shed innocent blood. These are the things that were taking place among the children of Israel during this time. From verse 6. Therefore, thus says Jehovah of hosts, behold, I will smelt them and try them. For how else should I do? Because of the daughter of my people. Their tongue is a sharpened arrow. It speaks deceit. One speaks peaceably to his neighbor with his mouth, but in his heart he lays wait for him. Shall I not punish them for these things, says Jehovah? Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? For the mountains will I take up a weeping and wailing, and for the pastures of the wilderness a lamentation, because they are burned up so that none passes through, and they hear not the voice of the cattle. Both the fowl of the heavens and the beast are fled and gone. So just pausing here again, God is warning the children of Israel and the generation of the reason the punishments are heaping up, the captivity is coming upon them, why there's famine in the land, why the land is desolate, why wild beasts are going to start to proliferate in the land, while the domesticated animals are becoming few. The cattle is becoming few, because the children of Israel, a good portion of them were agricultural people. They raised herds, they raised, various animals, they planted, they did various things in the fields. And now the famine is setting in, The animals are diminishing. The crops of the land is also diminishing because of the wrong that the children of Israel were doing at this time. And continuing in verse 10. And I will make Jerusalem heaps, a lair of jackals, and I will make the cities of Judah a desolation without an inhabitant. So again, just reiterating, this is why the land is becoming desolate. It's going to become empty with domesticated animals. It's emptied of crops that people depend upon, and people themselves are starting to be few within the land. Verse 11, who is the wise man that he may understand this, and who is he to whom the mouth of Jehovah have spoken, that he may declare it? Wherefore is the land perished and laid waste like a wilderness, so that none passes through? And Jehovah says, because they have forsaken my law, which I set before them, and have not hearkened to my voice, neither walk therein. So because they turned away from the law of God, the law that we read in the first 5 books of the Holy Scriptures, this is why all of the evils were coming upon them. And in the same thing today, if we turn away from the law of God, then we leave ourselves open to any evil that could come upon us. Verse 13, but have walked after the stubbornness of their own heart and after the Baalim, which their fathers taught them. So the Baalim are foreign gods. Baal, you'll hear that term frequently throughout the Holy Scriptures, but Baal being a false god, but also there were Baalim, meaning that there were Baalim, which means Lord, and they were, in the idolatry or in these religious cults, there was a lord of various things, because the Canaanites themselves were a polytheistic people, and many nations in that region were polytheistic, that they worship various gods. So they had a god for different elements, different items, different things that existed within the universe. So the Canaanites themselves had this term called, term called Baal, which means Lord. So they had various lords of various things. So that's why it's saying that the children of Israel were walking after the Baalim, walking after these false gods that their fathers taught them, meaning that the generations prior to them taught them, because the generations prior to them learned these from the Canaanite nations, which were not removed from the land as God had commanded the children of Israel to do when they came out of Egypt. So verse 14, therefore thus says Jehovah of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will feed them, even this people, with wormwood, and give them water of gall to drink. I will scatter them also among the nations whom neither they nor their fathers have known, and I will send a sword after them till I have consumed them. Thus says Jehovah of hosts, consider ye and call for the mourning women, that they may come, and send for the wise women, that they may come. Let them make haste and take up a wailing for us, that our eyes may run down with tears and our eyelids gush out with waters. Throughout time, there were people, women as well as men, that were skilled in making music, skilled in making songs. And then during this time, there were women who were skilled at making lamenting songs. So God is saying, call out all of these women that are good at making these, lamenting songs, and let them make more songs, because there's going to be more evil coming upon the children of Israel. So there's going to be more songs to sing in regards to the destruction that is coming upon the people. For a voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How are we undone? We are greatly confounded, because we have forsaken the land, because our dwellings have cast us out. So this is just one of the phrases. Again, this is one of the laments that's of many being made within this chapter, and that the lamenting women, or those that were skilled in making these songs, because if you think about it today, there are certain songs that when people hear them, it causes feelings to grow within people, based on how the person sings it, based on the words that are being used in the song. It starts to touch people. There were various songs throughout history that touch people. So, it's not just today that people make touching songs. This is something that was done all throughout history. And God is saying, call out all of the skillful women who are skillful at making songs that touch people's hearts, and let them make these songs. And hopefully the people will consider what they're doing when they're hearing these songs being sung. continuing from, going back to verse 18. For voice of wailing is heard out of Zion. How are we undone? We are greatly confounded, because we have forsaken the land, because our dwellings have cast us out. Yea, hear the word of Jehovah, O you women, and let your ear receive the word of his mouth, and teach your daughters wailing, and every one his neighbor lamentation. So God is calling to the women again, because he's been calling out to the men for many generations, from the kings of Israel to the princes to the prophets to the priests, and none were listening. So now God is calling out to the women, and with this attempt that the women, when they make these skillful songs that would touch people's hearts, and they will also teach their daughters how to make these songs, because this is going to be something, because of the destruction and the captivity is coming, there's going to be a lot of songs that are not going to be good. There's going to be a lot of sad singing happening. A lot of, when we think about it today, when people have funerals, there are certain songs and types of songs that people sing at funerals, and these are the type of songs that touch people's hearts when they hear them. So God is calling for the women to make these songs and also teach their daughters to make these songs. Continuing from verse 20. For death has come up into our windows. It has entered into our palaces to cut off the children from the street and the young men from the broad places. Speak, thus says Jehovah, and the carcasses of men fall as dung upon the open field, and as the handful after the harvestmen, which none gathers. So God is saying bodies are just falling everywhere. So instead of children playing in the street, the children are being slain in the street. Instead of people working out in the fields, people are dying out in the fields. Verse 22, thus says Jehovah, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him that glories glory in this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Jehovah, who exercise mercy, justice, and righteousness in the earth, for in these things I delight, says Jehovah. So these last two verses that were just read is telling people to not boast of themselves. It's teaching us how to be humble. We may have skills, we may have abilities, we may have talents in various areas, but we have to realize that the skills, the talents, and the abilities, the attributes that we have, whether mentally, physically, or spiritually, we should realize, or we should acknowledge, that these come from Jehovah God. So it's telling the wise person, the person that is smart in in the various fields and the various disciplines that exist on earth. The sciences, math, construction, singing, sports, whatever career that we have, that we are wise in these careers that we have, we shouldn't think that we are wise because it's within us, or we just have it on our own. Also, those that are strong in various, physical capabilities and abilities in the same things, with the sports, whether it's the physical tasks, the labors that we, involve ourselves in. Let's not think that our strength is something that we just develop on our own without God giving us the ability and the talent to achieve these, the wisdom and the strength that we have. But instead, or the same thing with the rich person. Rich people should not think that they have amassed their riches because it was just within them to do it. But it says that let him that glories glory in this, that he understands and knows God, Jehovah God, who exercises mercy, justice, and righteousness. He says that these are the things he delight in, but therefore these are the attributes that we should have as human beings, that we should exercise mercy, justice, and righteousness. These are the things that we should be doing to help one another. So instead of boasting ourselves and lifting ourselves up over other people, we should walk in the path of humility, such as Moses walked in the path of humility, but yet at the same time, he was exercising mercy, justice, and righteousness among the children of Israel in his generation. He made sure that justice was always done. He charged the judges over Israel to judge based on the law of God, and he was merciful. He always prayed to God when God was angry with the children of Israel and wanted something to happen and wanted to do something to the children of Israel. Moses put himself in between Jehovah God and the children of Israel and prayed for them. It didn't always work, but Moses put himself in a position where he was always asking God to have mercy upon the children of Israel, and he walked righteously. So just using Moses as an example, but there are many people that we can read about that have these attributes of mercy, justice, and righteousness. So if God delights in these things, these are the attributes that we should have. So instead of glorying in our own abilities, we should glory in the things that God delights in. And that's what God is saying there. Because it says in the conclusion, behold, the days come, says Jehovah, that I will punish all them that are circumcised in their uncircumcision. Egypt and Judah and Edom and the children of Ammon and Moab and all that have the corners of their hair polled, that dwell in the wilderness, for all the nations are uncircumcised, for all the house of Israel are uncircumcised in their heart. The children of Israel during this time and the generations prior thought, amongst many things, that because they were circumcised, that everything was okay. So God is lumping the children of Israel up with the other nations around them, Egypt, Edom, the children of Ammon, Moab, and the various nations that were dwelling at this time. So it talks about all of that have the corners of their hair polled, because that was a style that people have been doing throughout generations. Rounding the corners of their hair, marring the corners of their beard. This is something. So God is saying that although the children of Israel, specifically the children of Judah, were circumcised, it didn't make them better than anybody else that was uncircumcised and doing these things such as cutting off their hair and having these hairstyles, and primarily these hairstyles from the certain research were done by the people in that region for the worship of false gods. So God is saying that even though they were circumcised, it was as though they were uncircumcised, because God is calling it an uncircumcision of the heart. This physical circumcision is something that has to be done because it's commanded from the time we read in Genesis chapter 17. We read it in Exodus chapters 12 and 13. And in various places in the Holy Scriptures are that the children of Israel should be circumcised, and all males must be circumcised from 8 days old and upward. Well, basically all of Abraham's children are supposed to be circumcised from the days of 8 days old and upward. So that is a command, but there are other things that have to be done according to the law of God, along with the circumcision. So even those of us that are circumcised, it doesn't stop there. It starts there, but it doesn't stop there, meaning that we can't put everything in the circumcision or the certain laws of God that we like to do. We have to do it all. And that's why God is calling it an uncircumcision of the heart. Because although there's a physical circumcision, the ways are as though we are amongst the nations that are uncircumcised, because we're doing the same things that they're doing. So we thank Jehovah God for this opportunity to go to this chapter, Jeremiah chapter 9. And with the time that we have left, we're going to leave it for those that may have questions and comments, whether on this chapter or any other chapter. For that, I'm going to turn it back over to Chief Uziel, who will moderate this portion of our Bible study.
Yes. Shalom, shalom. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you, Rabbi, for that breakdown. Let me get to... Well, there's one question in the room thus far. Things they don't discuss in church. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 24 and 25. When have also Egyptians, Edomites, Ammonites, Jordanians, Moabites, and desert dwellers ever been circumcised in the flesh?
That's Egyptians circumcised. It's throughout history. There's research that those nations did circumcise themselves. The Egyptians, they did it. The Edomites, of course, they learned it from their fathers, which is the same fathers of the children of Israel, Abraham and Isaac. So circumcision was something that was prevalent within that region. The Ammonites and the Moabites dwelt amongst, the Edomites and the children of Israel. So this was a practice that was done. Doesn't mean that everybody was doing it to 100% capacity, but circumcision wasn't something that was introduced to the world just through Abraham. This was something, even when Abraham received the information of circumcising himself, he knew what to do. God didn't tell him, the process of circumcision. He told him that he had to be circumcised. And Abraham already understood. There was already, basically, there was a word for circumcision when God spoke to Abraham. So this was something that was known to be done, in that region. Again, it wasn't done to 100% capacity, but this was something that was done amongst people in that region.
For New Year's, will D.C.B have a service fee? We don't usually, we don't do a New Year's. We usually, our New Year's celebration for most part is during Pesach. We usually, we do sometimes have a New Year's celebration. We might have a little gathering at the congregation, but that's not mandatory by Torah, so we might not have that all the time. But in terms of our true New Year celebration will be during CHOKMAH. So, Rabbi?
Yeah, overall, the D.C.B. as some congregations will have or may have a celebration around the new moon for Abib. Mm-hmm. But in general, like Chief Uzzah just mentioned, it's not a mandatory thing to do that, but definitely it's mandatory to observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And that's would include just acknowledging the new year along with the redemption out of Egypt.
Let me see here. Thanks, Most High, all powerful, great, awesome. Yeah, no more questions thus far. I have a question. So in terms of, I'll say my question, someone else just wrote a question. Jeremiah chapter 3, verses 8 through 12. If God divorced Israel, isn't it a bad example to his children to break his law to take her back per Deuteronomy 24, 1 through 5?
God is beyond the laws that he has given human beings. So when God tells us to do something, it doesn't mean that he's bound by it. And the connotation of God being married to the children of Israel is not the same as human beings being married to one another. When human beings are married to one another, it's definitely on the physical level, and God is not married to the children of Israel on a physical level. Chief Uzzah just mentioned it, the background is metaphoric. It's a description of the relationship that God has with the children of Israel, but it's definitely not a physical marriage. So when God mentions that to the children of Israel back in Deuteronomy, that when a man divorces his wife and she becomes another man's wife, that she cannot return to the previous husband, if the latter husband divorces her or passes away, because it also along with that says in Jeremiah, shall not that land be polluted, meaning that her body is polluted if she was to go back to a prior husband. But being that the children of Israel are not married physically to God, there's no land or no body that's being defiled on either side. So again, that marriage that God is speaking about is just a relationship that he has with the children of Israel, taking the children of Israel to him as a man would take a wife. And that's just a description among many other things that we read about, so where the children of Israel should have hopefully understood the relationship that they have with God, and hopefully understood why God was feeling the way that he was feeling when the children of Israel were going into idolatry. So the same way he's speaking that is because when he says that to men, they would realize and understand how they feel when their wife commits adultery. So on that aspect, God is trying to, or not trying, but explain to the children of Israel, that is how he feels when the children of Israel go away into idolatry. So it's not God breaking his law. He's giving the example through a metaphor, but God is not bound by the laws that he's given to human beings because God is beyond time. So God is not bound by the laws that he gives us.
All right, let me see here. And also just to add, the question about circumcision, when you look upon the walls of Egypt, you could clearly see that there is a process of circumcision that actually left this on their walls. The other thing is it also among Muslims, which is a lot of the nations that were put down here by things they don't discuss in church. By most Muslims, or it's not in the Quran that they must circumcise, but it is almost like an unwritten rule because of cleanliness and everything else that they practice, that all boys or all males should be circumcised. So that's their tradition, and it's probably coming further back from the understanding that they are Abraham's children. But just to answer your question a little bit clearer, to add to what the rabbi said. C. Cole writes, Shalom Chief Uzi Alewi and Rabbi Binyamin, when we came out of Egypt and a king tried to curse us, for anyone that curses us will be cursed, and those that bless us will be blessed. Should we forgive those who cursed us, or is that a Christian thing to forgive and forget?
Forgiveness is something that is part of the way of life that God has given to the children of Israel and to humanity. Now, there are certain things that are unforgivable that we can read about, but forgiveness is not relegated to one religion. So now in regards to the statement that God made to Abraham that those who bless him will be blessed and those that curse him will be cursed, that was for Abraham and for his children after him forever. So we should get into the practice of blessing people as opposed to cursing people. But the blessing of people in the face of their wrongdoing is not something that we should get into the habit of. But it doesn't mean that you're cursing people by not forgiving them for certain things. So there are certain things are done on a case by case basis. Whether it's individually or collectively in regards to the things that people do, whether it's an individual that does it or nations that do it, in regards to whether we can forgive or not forgive. God told the children of Israel to remember what Amalek did to them, and that was a war that God was going to have with Amalek for generation to generation, as it is written, and the children of Israel had the responsibility of exterminating Amalek because of what they did. So that, what they did in God's eyes was not a forgivable act, and is not the same as cursing someone by exacting judgment upon somebody. So, the question is good, but just want to state that, executing judgment and executing true justice is not the same as cursing somebody. Those are cursing people. Those are two different elements.
All right. Taisha Strickland asks, this question is off topic, but can we wear Jordans even though they are affiliated with Nike?
So with that question, it's going to be a twofold answer. So number one, the main question is whether or not to wear Nike. That's one thing. And there are people that are on both sides of that issue. Now, when it comes to Jordan, the reason why I'm saying the answer is twofold. And I'm not too familiar with it, but Chief Uziel might be and other people might be. What people would say that within the Jordan sneaker itself, that there might be the word or the symbol of Nike within it. So the answer is twofold, because if you say that Nike is wrong, then if there's a symbol of Nike or the word within the Jordan sneaker itself, then that should also eliminate Jordans as well. But in regards to the answer overall, it depends on which side. It's a discussion, a broader discussion, probably, and most likely requires a separate topic overall, a separate discussion overall. But I'm just giving my answer based on what I've heard in regards to the Jordan sneaker, but I'm not too familiar because I don't wear either anything from the brand overall.
Right.
So I can't really answer it. But yeah, I just say I can't really answer the Jordan aspect overall because I'm not familiar with the pattern, the styling of the sneaker itself.
I think maybe when we were teenagers, I saw you with some sneakers on, but
I'm saying the brand. I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm just saying
okay.
the Nike brand overall. Like,
Oh yeah. I mean,
I'm not familiar with what the Jordan brand may have on it or not. So
yeah. So for most part, for those who argue the point of why we should not wear Nikes but they wear Jordans, when you look inside of the Jordans in the tongue area somewhere on the inside, for most part, the Jumpman brand or the Jordan brand is being produced by Nike. So there's going to be a little tag on the inside with the swoosh and the Nike on it, and that's what it is. So I don't get into those type of arguments. I don't stress people out over that. That's never been my thing. So, but I respect those who feel a way about it. But it's never been an argument that I've had, or in terms of condemning people for wearing Nikes. Put it like that, and which side of the aisle I lean on by just saying that. So, but yes, they do. Nike makes Converses. They make the Jordan brand, as I said, and I forgot there is something else that they make, but definitely Converses, and they make the Jordan brand. So. And yes, congratulations to our brother Binyamin for a baby boy, and may the Most High God bless you, my brother, and your family, your wife Takia. Congratulations to her for pushing the baby out. Jeremiah 9:25. I didn't think Egyptians, etc., were descendants of Ishmael. No, they're not. They're the Egyptians are descendants of Ham, right?
yeah, they're not. Yeah, so in regards to the circumcision overall, it's not something that was only done by the children of Abraham, but it predated Abraham in regards to the Egyptians doing it and other nations doing
He
it.
said reference Jeremiah 9:25. I don't know what Jeremiah 9:25 says.
Because 9:25 mentioned Egypt, Judah, Edom, Moab, and Ammon amongst people that were circumcised.
Oh, okay.
So, but it doesn't mean that they were all from the same lineage. It was just saying that that group of people in that region had a level of circumcision. But God was grouping everybody up together. So just basically saying that just because people are circumcised in the flesh doesn't mean that they're circumcised in the heart.
Gotcha. So all right, seeing we've gotten to the end of our questions. So like to thank you all for joining us. As I say every week, we do not ask for any fees for anything that we do, but our congregation, we do accept donations. For all of you that would like to donate, usually on programs like this, people charge for them, but we try to keep them just the way that they are. But we do ask you for your donations. So thank you all for joining us. If you would like to donate, you can donate to us. See, I thought that I did this stuff good over here, and I messed it up. So, all right. So, if you would like to donate, you could donate to us on Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo, and I believe that one of our admins will be putting up the actual stuff up on the screen. On Zelle and PayPal, you could donate to us at info@baitdcb.org, info@baitdcb.org, and on Venmo, simply at baitdcb. You can also donate to us right here on the super chat. So we thank you all for your support, and we pray that the Creator of heaven and earth will continue to bless each and every one of you with your heart's desire. I pray that the Most High God will continue to be with us and bless us all. So I am ready to conclude this. I will leave you with the words that the Most High God gave unto our Haron and his sons to bless the children of Yisrael, hoping and praying that on the conclusion of this day, or this actual class, that the Most High God will look down upon each and every one of us and grant us a blessing. Yivareka Yehovah Yishmareka, Ya'ir Yehovah Panav Leka Wikuneka, Yisa Yehovah Panav Leka Yasemaka Shalom. May Yehovah bless thee and keep thee. May Yehovah make his face to shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. May Yehovah lift up his countenance upon thee and may he grant thee peace. Shalom, shalom, family, and may the Most High God, Creator of heaven and earth, bless each and every one of you. Shalom, shalom. Hallelujah.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, his laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, his laws and commandments. The CHOKMAH BINAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah.